Mark Sutcliffe joins me now to talk about it. Mr. Mayor, welcome to the program.
It's great to be with you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, we're glad to have you. And now, you heard that clip a moment ago. Another union has called this a slap in the face. And I wonder what you say to people who say, listen, it should be about what work civil servants are getting done, not where they do it.
I think it is about what work civil servants are getting done, and I think civil servants have been working hard through the course of the pandemic. And my wife is a federal public servant. Lots of my family are federal public servants, and lots of my friends are as well. So I respect the hard work that everybody's been doing. What I'm happy about is now there's clarity going forward about what the plan is from the federal government. I think for a long time, we've kind of been in limbo. Are the employees going back to the office? Are they staying remote? Are they going back a few days a week? Are they going back 5 days a week? So what I'm happy about is now we have some clarity about what the plan is. And as a city, we can plan around that, and we know what kind of public transit to provide. We know what kind of numbers to expect coming downtown every day, and that will help us going forward. And there's no question it'll be good for downtown Ottawa and good for the economy.
So you're applauding the clarity. You're saying it's good for the economy. Are you endorsing the move? Is this something you wanted the federal government to do, to get workers back in the office at least a few days a week?
So I respect the fact that many federal government employees did not want to go back to the office, or didn't want to go back that often, or have their own opinions about it. But if I'm looking out for the best interests of the City of Ottawa, I think it is good that the federal government employees will be going back at least a few days a week. I think there was a risk that if they were not working in the office at all, that if it was entirely remote going forward, that the City of Ottawa would lose a lot of those jobs. People could be working from Victoria or Halifax or Calgary or anywhere in the country rather than working here in Ottawa. So in terms of the best interests of the City of Ottawa, keeping those jobs in Ottawa and having people using public transit and having people downtown every day of the week, it is good for the City of Ottawa. But I respect the fact that some public servants didn't want to go back to the office. I respect that.
Did you talk to anyone in the federal government about this? Did you say the City of Ottawa would appreciate it if folks were back in the office a few days a week?
I didn't make any requests. I was kept up to date by some of the members of the local Liberal caucus, the Ottawa caucus, and the cabinet. But I didn't make any requests of the government, because by the time I took office, I think it was pretty already, the wheels were in motion on the decision that was announced.
You're in, it seems to me, if I may say, like a little bit of a tricky position here, because there are so many civil servants in the City of Ottawa, but of course there are a whole ton of folks who are either run private businesses or they work for private business. And so I wonder what you would say to the objection that some civil servants are raising, that, if part of this is about bringing people back into downtown Ottawa, well, nobody's asking another big employer like Shopify to do this. Like, why should it have to be on the backs of public civil servants rather than private business? How would you respond to that?
Well, I think it would be great if more and more people were coming into downtown Ottawa for whatever the reason, whether it's to come to work or to come to have lunch or dinner or to go to the National Arts Centre or whatever they decide to do. So anything that is good for downtown Ottawa, I think, is good for the city. It doesn't have to just be federal government workers coming back. There are lots of private sector employers. And let's not forget, there are lots of people who throughout the pandemic have had no choice about where they work. They haven't had the option of working remotely. Their jobs have required them to be in place all throughout the pandemic. And so that's a lot of people in Ottawa and across Canada whose jobs have simply required them to be on site, and they have not had the opportunity to work remotely. So that's a big chunk of the population as well.
Do you, just going back, a closing thought about what this means for the City of Ottawa, do you have even a ballpark sense of what this means economically for Ottawa?
I don't. We know what kind of hit the public transit system in Ottawa has taken because of fewer people coming downtown every day. Our recovery from the pandemic has been slower than other communities in terms of public transit and other indicators in downtown Ottawa. So I'm hopeful that this will be good news for public transit, and the more people who are using public transit, the more public transit we can provide, which is healthy for the City of Ottawa.
Okay, well, we're going to talk about light rail in a moment, but first I want to ask you about one other aspect of what's going on in the city right now that has some national relevance, which is this question of Wellington Street. For folks who don't know Ottawa, though, they certainly, if they hadn't heard of it before the Freedom Convoy, they have since. Right now, there's cement barricades, a few select vehicles can pass through. What do you want to see happen with that street right in front of Parliament? How can we best be making use of a place that has some national importance?
So my mind's open on this, but I guess what I would say right now is when I come downtown, I feel like the barricades are a reminder of the convoy last year, the occupation that happened in downtown Ottawa. If it's the right thing to do to close Wellington for security reasons or for urban planning reasons or because we want that street to be used for other purposes, then let's make that decision on its own merit. If it's the right decision to open it up again sometimes and maybe keep it closed on holidays, on weekends, or when there are security threats, that's an option as well. But let's make that decision not because there was one event that happened in 2022 and we're going to change the whole layout of downtown Ottawa because we were forced to by the Freedom Convoy. Instead of doing that, let's make the right decision for the future of the city of Ottawa.
So do something, but you're agnostic on what?
Well, my mind is open.
I do want to ask you about one more matter before I let you go. Part of your campaign to be mayor was to change the status quo, essentially, in Ottawa. But you know that your new choice for chief of staff has been criticized as upholding the status quo. And again, to sort of bring the rest of the country in here, Robin Guest is somebody who has family ties to people involved in the light rail project here in Ottawa, which, I mean, I think a lot of folks in Ottawa would say has been a debacle. There was an inquiry and a lot of, I think, pretty damning conclusions from that inquiry. So she has family connections. She was also policy director for the last mayor. I see a lot of people responding to your choice by saying, this guy, same old thing, more status quo. What do you say to those people about this idea that you're sending out a message you haven't turned the page?
So I think I've already sent a message that I've turned the page with my behavior and the way that I've worked with City Council over the last 2 months.
Does this distress you, the reaction to this, though?
Not at all, because first of all, I don't know that many people outside of the bubble of municipal politics in Ottawa really care who the mayor's chief of staff is. Do you know the name of the last chief of staff at City Hall?
Well, I think we know, I believe it's Serge Arpin.
Yes.
I didn't expect a pop quiz.
Yeah, but I mean, most people don't,
I
right?
guess that's not the point, sir. The point is about sending that message that things are going to be different or not. Do you worry you sent the wrong message?
I think I've sent the right message with my behavior, and that's what I would ask people to judge me on. And Robin Guest has been part of all the decisions that I've made so far. I'm not using the strong mayor powers. I've been working very effectively with City Council, including council, in all the decisions that we've made. And Robin has worked at City Hall for 20 years for 3 different mayors. She's worked with every mayor since amalgamation in Ottawa. So she's not a symbol of any one administration at City Hall. She's an experienced person, and I'm new to politics and I'm coming from outside City Hall. So having somebody with experience is an asset. She's the best person for the job. She's going to do a great job. And again, I would say, look at my behavior over the last couple of months. Clearly, we've turned a page. There's a different tone at City Council. All the city councillors have said so, and that's the record that we're setting.
Okay, we're going to leave the conversation there for today. Thank you so much for your first visit to the Power and Politics studio, Mark
My
Sutcliffe.
pleasure. Thank you.